Disney has a couple of lawsuits on their hand from disgruntled former employees that they have done dirty. Apparently, we got Gina Carano, and we'll be hearing more from her throughout this year, but the one that's going to be sticking around for a minute, and one that really seems like a creation of their own doing, well, that's not to discredit anything that happened from the former Mandalorian star, but Beau DeMayo, the showrunner for the wildly successful, for the few people that watched it, of XMen 97. Now, there's going to be a season 2 of that one, and it's going to be very interesting because Beau's not going to get any credits because he got scrubbed because he ended up, breaching an NDA for talking about there's a bunch of stuff that has to come out and be confirmed. Like, there's talk on both sides as to what everybody was doing, but now Beau has sat down on his YouTube channel and brought to light some of the things as he sees it as to why he ended up getting fired a week or two from the release of their, honestly, only well-received show by both critics and audiences. Okay, former XMen 97 showrunner Beau DeMayo claims Disney fired him for raising concerns about egregious prejudicial conduct from Marvel Studios. The things I witnessed while working at Marvel were beyond wrong and unethical. Well, I've seen the way that they've treated certain characters throughout the years, and yeah, I would say that that's quite unethical. After months of radio silence, former XMen 97 showrunner Beau DeMayo has finally fulfilled his previous promise to provide fans with more details regarding his sudden firing from Marvel Studios, and according to him, the entire decision was nothing more than a pure Disney-branded act of retaliation. All right. The saga of DeMayo's firing began in March of 2024, when just the day ahead of X-Men 97's premiere. All right, yeah, because there was a big Hollywood premiere, and then it was put on D+ a week later. Yeah, that's the way that it was. He was let go from his position and subsequently stripped of his production credits for the show's second season, of which has already been written... which has already written a sizable portion. At the time, the showrunner implied that the new unemployment status was related to his sharing of a fan art piece, as drawn by New York City-based artist Junaid, depicting him, basically gay Cyclops. But it's, risque Cyclops cosplay. However, he announced that he would be taking a step back from social media before divulging any specific information, and then he came back like a firestorm, and it's been interesting, offering a response to DeMayo via a statement provided to The Hollywood Reporter. An official Marvel spokesperson pushed back against his suggestion, in turn asserting that DeMayo was terminated in March of 2024 following an internal investigation. Yeah, this is where Disney's claims get awfully spicy. Given the egregious nature of these findings, we severed ties with him immediately, and he has no further affiliation with Marvel. In a third twist to the story, The Hollywood Reporter's Aaron Couch and Boris Kitt later reported that, per their alleged source, the showrunner's firing was a result of an agreement that had been reached between the two parties over the issue of tweeting about the show, something that DeMayo had continued to occasionally do. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to promote the show, talk bad about the show, do anything with it. It's just whenever X-Men 97 came up, he was supposed to put his fingers in his ears, not in other places that he does, on his certain paywalled off sites, but yeah, just not talk about it, not mention it, not reference it at all whatsoever. Whenever anybody asked what he's done previously, there was just supposed to be a certain gap in his resume that he is not allowed to explain at all whatsoever. In light of these breaches, his credits for Season 2 were removed. While no details of the cause of termination or internal reviews have surfaced, sources say that it involved certain types of misconduct. It's like, wow, we just went from 0 to 100 right there. It's like, yeah, we don't know for sure. Maybe he was kind of lazy. Maybe he was a tyrant behind the scenes. Nope, he was flopping his dick around. Wait, what? From there, both DeMayo and Disney go dark on the topic. Hey, now, he can't help it. Doesn't mute. Oh, no, it just takes a turn for the worse. Neither party providing any updates for the next few months until today. Well, last week today. When without fanfare, DeMayo uploaded a video, aptly titled Marvel a Disney Statement to his personal YouTube channel. Yeah, it's like a 24-minute long video. I'm not going to watch or make you guys watch all of it. Mostly because he's still a leftist at the end of the day. Like, for as much appreciation and adherence to the X-Men lore as he has, he's still trying to play the whole, they hate me because I'm black and gay card. And it's like, well, that's normally why Disney casts their creatives, is because they check certain boxes. So it's kind of interesting to see this woke on woke crime, because because shit like this is happening. It's awfully funny to opine about, beginning by explaining that his recent absence had been as a result of him taking time away to consult with his legal team, the former Moon Knight and Blade Rider. then declared that these allegations of egregious misconduct are false. They spread because of the result of a smear campaign designed to discredit my credibility in order to cover up egregious prejudicial misconduct stretching from select crew members on X-Men 97 all the way to the top of Marvel Studios. They're not just trying to discredit me in incredibly misleading press releases, but also through coordinated leaks and bot attacks, as well as anonymous scoops being given to tabloid sites and podcasters. You maybe heard some of these, and I've heard rumblings and whispers about Beau. Now, back when I was at high school, we called this gossip. Unlike then, today, luckily, I have a legal team who has forensic investigators tracking these attacks, scoops, and leaks so that we can hold those responsible for defamation, harassment, and inciting outright criminal threats of violence. Okay, that's interesting. Now, my lawyer told Deadline that this is Disney and Marvel's standard playbook, and that they have done this for other artists like me. With me, it's, look at his Instagram. Doesn't he look thirsty? Isn't he a narcissistic maniac? Isn't he too vulgar, too sexual? This isn't someone celebrating their hard work or journey in overcoming years of internalized racism and homophobia to finally become comfortable in their own skin. Yes, finally he can reconcile his love and appreciation for X-Men and, and weigh that up against his gay blackness. Oh my God. Okay, bro. No, this is something shameful. This is smoke for a larger fire of predatory behavior. Usually grace and empathy are the best response to conflict and adversity. And if you think about it, that's what X-Men 97 Season 1 was all about. But what's happening with Marvel, what's been going on here, is unlike anything I've ever experienced in this industry. Following a brief venting of his general feelings of frustration and exhaustion towards the entire situation, the showrunner then moved to recall the history of his issues with Disney, which purportedly had their roots planted in the day he joined Marvel Studios. Okay, so they hired him to fire him. Interesting. When I took the job on X-Men, I was told they valued my perspective and experiences as a queer black man. See, I totally agree with him at this point in time, okay? I bet that's exactly why Disney hired him. And I made it very clear to them that I was not going to be the black stamp of approval on the project. So it was agreed that due to the themes of the X-Men, as well as my experience and just general excitement around my pitch, I would supervise all areas of the stage production. Now with this, I assume the studio would protect me from those who maybe harbor biases against having someone who looks, speaks, dresseth. Oh my God, he likes to wear dresseth at work. I can see why they fired him. And thinks like me as their creative leader and boss. Well, I mean, if you're good at your job and you were hired to be in the role, I mean, there's been far less competent and qualified people in similar roles before, but okay. Now, this is why... Oh, I'm sorry. Now, why was this important to me? Guys, just turn on the news. It's common for minorities in leadership roles to not be taken seriously. Yeah, because they constantly bring up this. But hey, man, Disney, you play with fire, you got burnt, and now you got to deal with this. To have these credentials and their resumes continually questioned when they above and below them, and just generally be written off as the diversity hire who didn't earn the job. I thought Marvel would have my back against this stuff. Instead, the studio looked the other way as my identity was weaponized by Marvel executives to flick crew members to undermine me, create a humiliating environment where people felt emboldened to use the same dog-whistling stereotypes favored by bigots for decades. He's big, he's intimidating, too opinionated, angry, emotional, flamboyant, dramatic, a pervert. Oh my God, to see that one, it's like, one of these things is not like the other. But okay, when I called these things out, they pivoted to attacking my talent, accusing me of being too much of a fanboy. They openly resented me fighting for the fans, fighting for the comics. They accused me of playing karaoke with those comics, and repeatedly I was told by these individuals that they should be doing our own version of the X-Men, writing new stories and not adapting those written by old white men, by which I could only assume were referencing individuals like Stan Lee and Chris Claremont. Yeah, you know, the guy who created the X-Men and the guy who was foundational to the stories that were being adapted by the original animated X-Men run. But, you know, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. So, yeah, that statement right there, I mean, that's the reason why 97 was lauded by the fans for being as good as it was, because it was actually, paying homage properly and properly representing those characters, unlike anything we've seen from Marvel in a very, very long time. So it's funny, whenever we hear somebody like that, it's like with Henry Cavill and The Witcher, him butting heads with stupid lore and history, leading to Henry Cavill leaving and The Witcher just dying in the aftermath. Because when you get these people that are ardent supporters of the source material who are fans of a project, they immediately get labeled as troublesome. Not the hacks that want to ruin properties they're working on. Of course not. Okay. My response to this was to try to calmly outline that fans don't want to see our version of the X-Men. They, like me, want to see the characters that they have loved for decades faithfully adapted on screen. Now, in return, these individuals would then attempt to sabotage me on my job, painting me as abusive when I decline to make wholesale changes to the character. When I decline to have Jubilee fire plasmoids from her mouth and make gang signs? Jubilee throw up gang signs? What the hell? Or paint the sky with plasmoids in the shape of middle fingers. Yo, that sounds cringe. And he put the kibosh on that? All right, Beau. All right. Good for you on that one. Oh, what was worse and what really just hurts was the fist that they put on my director's chair. Oh, I'm sorry. Was as I fought for what I felt that the fans and audiences want. I was then being painted as an uncollaborative, too difficult, too much of a fanboy, and one executive's favorite phrase to fire at me. Beau, you need to learn to turn your comic book collector brain off. And this is where I can totally believe that these were actual conversations being had at Marvel. It chose to treat me as a child that needed to be scolded, even as I was drawing upon 40 years of dealing with ignorance just like theirs, having survived traumas that that they cannot even begin to imagine. Never mind, understand, or appreciate. Yeah. You could just go ahead and continue to play the sob story. I'm gay and I'm black, but at the same time, it's like, if you actually really liked the project and you did create something great, that's fantastic. Jumping ahead a little bit, it's wrong for a Marvel executive to roll her eyes when I raise concerns about being bullied and targeted on the account of my identity and tell me to deal with it because these individuals are amazingly talented. It is wrong for an artist on the show to repeatedly denounce all men as jerks and accuse me of failing the cause because I'm keeping a jerk like Cyclops as the leader of the team. It is wrong to question my intelligence because my muscles don't make me look like a writer or talk about how I am thick with two C's. Ugh. It's wrong for Marvel leadership to pat themselves on the back and giving me notes on a Blade script, a table of white men, to laughing as they tell me, hey, look at us, we hired a young Wesley Snipes to write the new Blade movie. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is so that you can see that Wesley Snipes and I look nothing alike. Well, yeah. I mean, there was at one point in time Wesley Snipes was referred to as like the blackest thing in all of Hollywood. And Beau DeMayo, well, not quite. But it's a wild insight. I can't necessarily think that, everything that he says is 100% the truth. Some things are obviously going to be hyperbole or emphasized and de-emphasized in order to, put forth his strongest argument. But there's a lot of stuff in there that, even if it is being blown out of proportion, is fairly damning to the overall Marvel process. And you could kind of see, as good as the show was when it did come out, and if there's going to be a stark quality difference with season 2, you're going to be able to see how much truth behind these accusations that Beau DeMayo is bringing to light is, and it's totally believable. We've heard arguments like this before. This is just the first one that's going to go before a judge. This is the first one that's not just simply going to go away, and just shows you that even if they are super talented, never work with any of these activists. They only come with trouble and are a giant pain in the ass. No pun intended. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.